This conference will now be recorded.
तो क्या पूछा आपने मुर्तजा सर?
The good thing about this webinar is that the person who is
मुर्तजा सर, मुर्तजा सर,
बोलिए बोलिए
सर कुछ प्रॉब्लम?
हाँ नहीं, अगर बना सकते हो तो मुझे भी प्रेजेंटर बना दो।
सॉरी सर,
अगर प्रेजेंटर बना सकते हो 2 जन को तो मुझे भी बना दो प्रेजेंटर।
सर 2 जन को नहीं बना पाऊंगा सर, वन एक ही टाइम 1 जन बनाए रहेंगे। मैं आपको ऑर्गेनाइजर बना दूं तो बना दूं?
नहीं ठीक है, नो प्रॉब्लम। अपना
मैं आपको ऑर्गेनाइजर बना के रख देता हूँ।
आनंद जी, ओके।
Should we start the session? screen?
सुभाष जी जरा मुझे बना दो प्रेजेंटर अभी। Oh, Anand ji, can you check your WhatsApp?
Murtaza, you want me to display that now?
Yes, please. Yes, please. Yeah, good evening, members. Yeah, just before we start, we'll have 2 minutes silence, as we have lost a very senior member amongst us who has been with us, our true mentor, a true friend, a guiding person to many, C. A. Pranay Kochar sir. We'll just have a 2 minutes silence for him, so that and pray that he gets returned. We lost him due to COVID at Bombay Hospital today afternoon. Thank you. You would like to say something? Okay, fine. Thanks. Yeah, welcome to this session on Tally Prime, and Renali to kindly introduce our speaker, Sri Anand Paurana.
Actually, the file is not getting you.
Yeah, I think Manali is in. Yeah, your network seems introduced. So we have with us CA Anand Purana. So very on fellow chartered accountant.
There's a technical error.
Yeah, no problem, Manali. No problem. So basically, Anand Purana is a member of the IT Connect Committee of the Chamber of Tax Consultants. He is on various professional. He's been delivering sessions on Tally on various forums and across study circles. He is with more than 18 years of experience in and is a chief strategist of FAFP advisors. He has imparted Tally training to more than 10,000 participants, and he is a consultant to various corporates for Tally implementation. And with this words, a short introduction, I'll hand it over to you, Anandji. Thank you very much for accepting our invitation and being there. Over to you, Anandji. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Murtaza. Pleasure being here. I have been told that this is a very powerful group of the technologically advanced people who understands the technology in great detail and has a great interest in the technology products. So it's really a pleasure to be here in this small but a very powerful group of people. So without wasting any time, I would straight away jump onto the subject. Um, First of all, thank you to Murtaza and Vishnu for accepting my request for splitting this session into two parts because I wanted to handle it in a certain way. And the 3 hours becomes too much to focus on for me at least. I don't know about the you participant. Now, how I will design the session is for the first day, I'll be talking about the Tally Prime basics. Just give me a minute. So I will plan the session in such a way that the first day I'll be talking about some of the basics of the Tally Prime, why Tally Prime, and what are the changes for as compared to Tally ERP9. I will also be talking about how you can use the Tally effectively in your own organization. So this is the broad agenda for the day one, and on the day two, I'll be adopting more of a case study based approach, whereby I'll be discussing a couple of more case studies, and via case studies, I'll be discussing some of the features of the time. So this is what the agenda for the both the days are. I'm just sharing my screen. All right. Is it visible?
Yes, yes, it is visible.
Yes, sir, it is visible.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, let me just adjust some setting here because yeah. All right. So yeah. So when the Tally was designing the Tally Prime, the prime objective was to simplify the simplest. We all know that the Tally ERP9 is one of the most simple software to use. However, they further want to simplify this software, that how more and more people can use, how the people who doesn't even have touched the Tally before can adapt to the Tally very fast. They have brought in the greater flexibility and of course the fresh look and feel. So this was the main objective when Tally was designing the Tally Prime. So the agenda for this first half of this today's session is I'm going to demonstrate to you some Tally Prime features and of course the Q&A. So a quick questions to all of you. How many of you have started working on Tele Prime? Maybe a quick reaction on the chat box will help. How many of you really started working on Tele Prime, or even if you're not started, just mention I have not started anything. Okay, how do I know the messages? Yes, started. Thanks, Yogesh. Not yet. So some people have not started. Okay. So I think it's a mixed crowd. Three to four people says they've not started, and 3 to 4 more people says they've started. Yeah. All right. So my idea would be to quickly show you in the first 30 minutes or so the various changes which has happened in Tele Prime, and then jump onto the Tele for your own organization. All right. So this is what the broad idea is. So let me just. So first, when we create a company, so this is a very familiar screen for all of us in Tele ERP9. When we create a company, we used to get this in the Tele ERP9. Now let us see how does this change in the Tele Prime. So I'm changing over my screen to Tele. When you start the Tele, this is the first screen you get. Okay, so there are certain changes which has happened, like you obviously you can specify the path where you want to, where your data file is saved. A create company option is here, and all the
Anand
previous
sir,
Tele data. Yes.
Anand sir, we are not able to see your screen actually. That screen is not available here.
Okay. Share the thing. Is it
Yes,
now
now we can
available?
see. Yes, sir.
Perfect. Thank
Yes.
you. So I think instead of a camera, a screen got disconnected. Thank you so much. So this is the first screen which you get when you open the Tele Prime. Now, suppose you are using a Tele ERP9 and now you want to migrate to the Tele Prime. So what are how you should do it? Just open the data into Tele Prime, load Tele Prime, and open that data into Tele Prime. The first time it will show you here migration required. All right. So if you see all the company where the migration required is written, that is a Tele ERP9 data which is not yet open in the Tele Prime. All other data is either created in Tele Prime or has been migrated from Tele ERP9 to Tele Prime. Now, when you create a company here, again the company creation screen remains more or less the same as Tele ERP9. However, there are certain changes. Like say, if I say I'm creating a company. Now, if you see here, the state, so all the states are pre-populated. The moment I select a state, it will also select the country and the currency. Okay, so this is dynamic even for the other countries. Like let's say if I have to select UAE or let's say Abu Dhabi, then even the nomenclature of the state will change. Okay, so let me, if I select this, the nomenclature will change. So instead of a state, that what they call it in the this emirate, that will come, and the even the currency will change. A small changes here and there, but yes, effective changes. That's all. This is how we create a company. Um, it is as good as similar to what Tele ERP9 was giving. This is one change. The moment you create a company, immediately the configuration screen appears. You don't have to search where the configurations are. Immediately the configuration screen appears along with the commonly used feature is already made yes. If other feature you want to use it, you can make it as yes and start using it. So this is the help, kind of a help given to you when you create a company. Even if you don't do anything right now, you can later on access the screen by going to the company F11 features. All right. So, however, the small changes, but yes, effective changes. So this is how you create a company. Now, this is the first screen. The major change which has happened on the gateway of Tele is if you see there was a Tele ERP9 logo at the bottom, and then there were few boxes at the bottom like calculator panel, your license number, your ODBC connection detail. All this detail is there in the tally, but that bottom panel has been done away with. It is not there in the tally prime. Instead of that, what you see at the top is a top menu. Okay, and this top menu remains constant throughout the tally, whether you are going into any report or whether you are passing entry. So it has its own advantage. I will tell you the moment we are going ahead. So the all the information about the license is captured in the top menu. So if you see here at the top left hand, there is a Tally Prime Silver. So if I click on that, it will show me the license detail. It will show me the license detail which was previously there in the Tally ERP9 at the bottom. Or alternatively, I could also go into the F1 help and say about. There also it will give me the all the license detail. Okay. So some changes has happened. However, the fundamental remains the same. The top menu is now, instead of a button, it has become a menu. So within that, there are multiple options which has come in, like company, data, exchange. We can discuss each of them, but I'm just giving you the overview right now. Okay. So again, certain thing has been changed. The place of certain thing has been changed. So the more important thing at the top menu is a button called Go To. If you are able to see at the middle, there is a button called Go To. Now, this is what the Tally Prime has brought in, a prime feature, I would say. Some call it a Google of Tally Prime, some call it a Narad Muni of Tally Prime, because even if you not used a Tally Prime previously or not used a Tally at all in past, and you want to learn the Tally, then this is the one button you need to learn. Other than that, everything is taken care inside this one button. So let's say you want to uh, visit any report or you want to view any report. Now you don't know the paths in the Tally ERP9. We used to remember the path, that where is the trial balance. So we all know that it is in the display trial balance. If there is some stock report or there is some inventory report or the sales order report, we know where the path is. Okay. Now here under go to button, I don't have to remember that path. I have to simply press go to, and I have to simply say, let's say if I want to reach to the trial balance, I will simply say trial balance, and it will take me to the trial balance report. Of course, this is a new company I have created, so there is no data, but I don't have to remember the path. Wherever I am, I can simply say go to, and it will take me to that path. Let me just open a company which has some data, so it remains good for our discussion. Just give me a minute. All right, let me just create. I'm not sure. This also doesn't have any data. Give me a minute, guys. I will give you the data. Just give me a minute. Okay. All right. I'm resharing the screen. So idea is that go to button can be used to navigate to any report without you remembering the path. It has one more advantage also, as I told you, the top menu, you can navigate from one report to the another without closing the previous report. So for example, see, let's say if I am into the balance sheet, okay, and from balance sheet I want to migrate to the, or I want to see something in my trial balance. So in Tally ERP9, we used to close this report. We used to come to the gateway of Tally by pressing escape and then going to the trial balance. Here, we will remain in the balance sheet and simply say go to and say trial balance. It will take me to the trial balance. From trial balance, let's say I want to go to the another report, maybe say profit and loss account. I can keep on jumping from one report to the another report, and Tally will keep all the reports open in the background. So once my work is done in the profit and loss, I can simply press escape. It will come to the previous report of trial balance. Again I press escape, it will come to the previous report of balance sheet. Then I press escape and it will come to the gateway of Tally. So this is one powerful feature. And again, GoTo is to be used not only for reporting, but if you see your GoTo, you can also create a master. So let's say you want to create a ledger or a group or a stock item. You can simply say create master. It will ask you which type of the master you require to create. You select that and you are into that creation. So even master creation happens through GoTo. Even your master alteration can happen through GoTo. Or even if you want to pass an entry, you can say create voucher and you are into the entry mode. So even if you don't know any other button or any other shortcut key or any other menu inside the Tally, you only understand one GoTo and your job is simplified. This is especially helpful for the owner of the organization or for those non-accountant people who do not use Tally day in and day out, but yes, they would like to see some reports, but they don't remember the path. So this is a very powerful feature of the GoTo. Along with the GoTo, there's one more option called switch to. So if I click on the control key on my keyboard, if you see the GoTo will change to switch to button. So the functionality is more or less same, but there is only one minor difference. So when I say GoTo, it will take me to the trial balance, but keep the previous report open. So when I say switch to, let's say I say switch to trial balance, again I say switch to balance sheet. Okay, so what it has done is it has closed the trial balance report and now it is switching over to the balance sheet report. So this is a small difference. So when I come out of this, and press escape, it will directly come to the gateway of Tally and not to the through trial balance and Tally. So this is a small difference between the GoTo and switch to. Murtuza, I'm not able to see the comments or the chat box or the Q&A. If there is some question related to the topic I'm discussing, please feel free to ask. It's a small group. You can make it more interactive.
Sure, Anand.
Yeah, thanks. So this is how you create a company or top menu bar. I've already explained you. But there is a new concept which is introduced in the Tally Prime called chart of accounts. So previously in the Tally ERP9, there was only display list of ledgers, whereby entire list of ledgers were available, but there was no separate thing called as a chart of account. So now Tally has introduced this new thing called chart of account. If you go to gateway of Tally, there is an option called chart of account. If you go here again, it will show you which kind of a chart of account you require. And again, if you see, Tally is smartly minimizing your options on the screen. Okay, so if you see here, there is something called as a show inactive. So there are more masters, but probably I'm not using that masters in this company. So Tally is hiding that options. Okay, if I click on show inactive, it will also come as an additional masters. Okay, so chart of account, let me go to the ledgers. It will take me to the same report. But again, there is some option here, change view, exception reports. Uh, the way you navigate the Tally will change under Tally Prime. Whether it will become simpler, yes, the time will tell. But yes, if you ask me, it is simpler. The adoption time may be there because we are so used to, let's say, if you want to go to any ledger report, we are so used to pressing the DAL, display account ledger, and typing a name. So that still remains valid under Tally Prime. So that is a smart thing what the Tally has done. My old way of navigating the report still remains valid. So if I want, I can still go to the display, account book, ledger, select that particular account, go to that ledger and view the report. So this is still remains valid, but it has also introduced this new thing called GoTo. I can simply say go to ledger, ledger vouchers or ledger reports or whatever I want to go there, ledger outstanding, and then I can migrate to that or navigate to that report. So this is a small change which has happened. Yes, it will take some time for us to adopt to these changes, but yes, clients have started adopting this. All right. So next is chart of account we will discuss. I'm just touching on the various topics because a lot of people have started using the Tally Prime, so I am not going into the each and every detail. Next, user-based login. So this is one thing which has changed as compared to Tally ERP 9. In Tally ERP 9, if you know that if you want to change the user, you need to close the company. Okay, but here in Tally Prime, you need not close that company. So let me just show you that. So let's say I'm into this company. I'm going to the first. I'm making it active for to make it the password enable. Okay, so I made it a password enable. Now, if I'm creating the additional user, so all your user management has come inside the company menu. Previously, it was at all the places like you have to go to the Alt F3, then create the user, create the master, create the security level there. Now everything related to the user management has come at one place. Whether it's creating user or defining their rights or changing their password or implementing the password policy, everything has come under one tab. So lot of reorganization has happened. So I'm just creating one additional user to explain you what I'm meaning by saying that I can change the user without closing the account. So there is a new user called B. Currently, I have logged in with a user called A, which is an admin user, which has all the rights. Like if you see balance sheet, profit and loss, all the rights has been given. Now, if I want to change the user, I will simply say change user. Okay, I'm saying change username and putting the new username and the password. And the company will change the user to user B. And if you see user B was a data entry operator, the right defined was a data entry, so he will not get access to the reports. Okay. Again, if I want to change to company A, sorry, user A, I will simply say change user. So I need not close the company to open the company from the new user. This is one change which has happened. Second change which has happened is, see, a lot of time in the group company, let's say you are auditing a company and they have the 4 or 5 different group companies. All of them are password enabled. So every time you open a company, you will need to remember the ID and password. Your ID and password may be same across all the companies, or the user's ID and password may be same across all the company. So what Tally has given one option here is under help menu, you can go and say setting and startup. There's one question here: enable auto login for companies with the same credential. So if it is yes, if you make this as a yes, what will happen is if you are opening any other company which has the same user credential, then it will open without asking you the username and the password. Okay, so let me just show you this. So if I open the another company, let's say if I open the another company called demo 1, see it has open. If you see the demo 1 actually has a username and the password enable. Okay, you see the demo 1 has a username and the password enable, but it is also having the username and password as A. So while opening it did not ask. So this has a potential to save some of the time for the data entry or the whenever there are multiple companies. So for example, as a chartered firm, you get the data of the so many clients, and you have to remember the ID password or have to ask them the ID password. But if you know this feature, you can ask them to create your ID once and you can keep the ID and password same. And in your office, you can make this option enabled. So whoever client sends you the data, you need not remember the ID password, it will straight away open. Although the company is a password protected company, but since you have done this setting, it will open directly to you. So this is called the auto login. Again, the user roles or the security level has a few more options, like you can disable the on account payment. So this is one of the very good change which has happened. Anyone wants me to go into more depth, let me know. All right. Again, at the data entry level, there are some changes like the navigation has changed. Okay, so now if you see here, if I want to pass any entry at the Tally Prime, see in the Tally ERP9 there is an accounts entry, inventory entry, payroll vouchers, so and so forth. Here Tally has combined everything under one tab called vouchers. So any transaction you want to pass in the Tally Prime, you just go to the vouchers, and all the transactions are captured here. Again, there is some navigation change which has happened here. So if you see the right menu, okay, there is a small arrow key. All right. So if I click on that arrow key, it will show me the further options, like sales, delivery note, sales order. Again, as I told you, Tally has written old way of doing the thing. So if you know for the fact that Alt F8 was for delivery note or Control F8 was for the sales order, it still works here. Okay. Or even if you don't remember, okay, still if you come here and click on Alt button, it will change with the Alt key, and if you click on the Control button, it will click on the Control key. If I received one question of the multi GST, I will answer that. All right. So this is how we navigate, and plus there is an option of the other voucher. So this is one new addition thing. You can type your delivery note and go to the delivery note. All right. Some behavior change also needs to be done for the data entry operator. Like say for example, we all are comfortable using the Control P for printing. Now it is an Alt P for the current report. And some of the behavior, like when I'm into entry, and let's say there's an F12, let's say I'm into some sales entry. Okay, let me just show you that with the help of the one sales entry. I'm just passing one sales entry. I just want to show you one option here. Doesn't matter the item or the. See, I have passed the sales entry. Okay, now we all know that there is something called as an F12 configure at every level. Okay, so if I'm taking a print of this, okay, and there is something called as a configure or F12 configure, both work the same way. Now we are very used to saying yes, enter, no, enter. But now here Tally has changed this. If I enter here, it will change the value. And if I want to navigate, I have to use the arrow keys, or I have to simply use this search bar to say that what I want to change. Okay. So this is a small change which has happened. Last point, last couple of points before we close this topic and come to the Q&A, and then jump to the second option. Power of 3. So any report you are viewing in the Tally, you will get this 3 button constant. If you see on the right menu, there is something called as a basis of value, change view, exception report. So in Tally ERP9, there were different buttons on the right side for a different reports. Okay, so if you go to trial balance, there is some different option. If you go to ledger report, there are some different option. Tally is trying to standardize this. So Tally has classified all this option into 3 buttons called basis of value, change view, exception report. If you go to the change view, it will give you the option related to change view in this report. So in this report, I have the option of a vertical balance sheet. If I click on the basis of value, it will ask me whether I want to include working capital, stock valuation. Again, I'm saying this 3 button will remain constant. The option inside this 3 button can keep on changing based on the report what you are viewing. So again, a very good thing to know. Any report you are viewing, just look at the 3 button right side to change any configuration in this report, whether you want to generate the columnar or you want to include or exclude any value in that report. Okay, you will find in this 3 button. I call this as a power of 3. Analysis and verification. So we all know that the Tally ERP9 had the full-fledged audit module that has been reduced to some extent. However, the main functionality of the analysis and verification still remain. One more important thing, balance sheet audit is now possible. So in our audit terminology, we call it a balance sheet audit, whereby we check the balance sheet and the profit and loss account. So let me just show you this. So here under the gateway, display more reports. There's an option called analysis and verification. And there's a two option voucher verification. I'm going to the voucher verification. And on the right side, there's an option called analysis and verification report. So I'm going to that, and it will give me the list of all the reports. So I'm going to the balance sheet. It will give me the balance sheet. Let me just change the view to the traditional horizontal view. Now, what is the difference between accessing the balance sheet from here and the main menu? If I'm accessing the balance sheet from here, I can drill down to the extent of the entry, and I can check the entry by pressing the control enter or the alt enter for the view, control enter for the edit of the entry, or simple enter, and I can also write the query. So imagine I am looking at the balance sheet, drilling down to each entry, checking the entry, writing the query. So if I do this for my balance sheet and profit and loss account, effectively I'm just completing my balance sheet audit. So this can also help in the case of the smaller audit. Okay, e-invoicing is available in the Tally Prime. I'm not going into that detail, but it is to understand that it is an integrated solution given by the Tally Prime. It's absolutely no cost proposition. Tally is not charging anything for generating the e-invoice. It's absolutely free, and a lot of reporting tool has been given inside the Tally for e-invoice. So if the e-invoice is applicable to any of your client, encourage them to start using Tally Prime. They need not buy any other tool or pay for any other tool. Okay, so I will skip this. Okay, all right. So this was the introduction to Tally Prime. I will take few questions before I actually jump onto the next section where you can use the Tally for your organization. Any questions are there, Murtaza?
Yeah, there's only one question regarding GST multi GST taxpayer in chat.
Okay. So in chat
By
box,
Bhagwan Pal.
just a minute, I will just read out that question. Is there any standard mechanism in Tally Prime for multi GST and taxpayer rather than going to the customization, which makes rather the auditor or the consultant life miserable for accessing the data? If there are multiple such clients, it's very tedious in accessing the GST and other such report for all the different customization done by various clients with various Tally partner. Okay. Mr. Pal, so currently, before answering this question, let me come to this. Tally Prime has been developed and it will keep on continuously developing. So if you know, Tally has given the stated development path on their website publicly, that what features they will bring in the next quarter, what features they will bring in the next to next quarter, and so forth. So multi GSTN is the one feature which they have stated that they will be coming out in a 1 or 2 quarter. Having said this, currently, if you want to utilize the multi GSTN feature in the default Tally, currently it is not there in the default Tally. However, you can configure it smartly, saying that for each GSTN, you can open a new Tally, ask the client to pass the entry there, and then you can pull the data automatically into one Tally, either by using the group company feature or using the synchronization feature. And here I'm only talking about the default feature and no customization. Okay. Till that time, either you have to, till the time Tally brings it in the default Tally, you have to either adopt this approach or go with the customized model, either of this thing. Okay, there's one more question from Mr. Hemant. Can we have both Tally Prime and Tally ERP as a client may or may not migrate? Yes, absolutely. Tally has specially given this facility that you can activate the Tally Prime license and simultaneously use the Tally ERP9 license in your office without buying anything additional. So currently you have a Tally ERP9 license. How to do this? Now, surrender your Tally ERP9 license first, number one. Download Tally Prime, activate your license in Tally Prime. Okay, so your Tally Prime is up and running. Then go to the Tally ERP9, which is in the educational version now, and search for the license. It will pick up the license from Tally Prime and it will start working. So as a chartered accountant firm, I always advise the people to have both the Tally license, both the Tally Prime and Tally ERP9 running in your organization. whoever client sends the data in Tele ERP9, open in Tele ERP9. Whoever sends the data in Teleprime, open the Tele in Teleprime. Because you can open the Tele ERP9 data in Teleprime, but vice versa is not advisable. Okay. So Mr. Pal is again asking, once the data is migrated to Prime, the same data in the ERP doesn't work, right? Yes, that's what I said. You can migrate the Tele ERP9 data to Teleprime easily, as I shown you in the beginning, that the migration required, just click on that, it will migrate. If you want to migrate back from Teleprime to Tele ERP9, there is a way to do it. However, it is not advisable. But since you raised the question, let me tell you how to do it. But I will advise you against that. Once you open the data of a Tele ERP9 and Teleprime, now you want to go back to the Tele ERP9 and want to utilize the same data. First of all, to take a backup copy and then go to the Tele ERP9 and rewrite the data by pressing Ctrl Alt R, and it should work. However, why it is not advisable? Because as I told you, Teleprime has given some new features, has a different way of working. Now, if the client has sent you the data in Teleprime and maybe he is using some additional feature you are not aware, and you try to open in Tele ERP9, that is not advisable. Okay, so my suggestion would be, as a chartered accountancy firm, you keep both the copy Tele ERP9 and Teleprime in your organization. There is no additional cost. You can use the same Tele license and work on both the things, and then do not try to migrate back to Tele ERP9. Okay. There's one more question. Users on N computing more than 10 in one office come under the TVU are required to take additional TVU license even if it is in the same office premise. Has anyone faced such issue? Yes, Tele has brought in TVU policy, licensing policy, which is called the Tele Virtual User Policy. It is basically the Tele was designed to work in the LAN environment, but now people are using in the cloud environment or the environment whereby you are accessing your Tele from outside the office. So Tele has brought in this TVU policy whereby 10 users for a multi-user is given free. Beyond that, there is some charge. So it is as simple as that. That if you are using the Tele otherwise than LAN, then the TVU policy gets applicable. Yes, so Mr. Anand, it is right. If you're even if you are using the N computing in the same office, TVU policy gets applicable. All right. So I think there are no further questions. I will jump on to the second section for today. How you can use the Tele ERP9 or Teleprime either way for your office effectively. So just allow me a minute to share my screen again. Just a minute, guys. So I'm again sharing my screen. Let me know once it is visible. All right.
Yes, it is visible. Presentation is visible.
Presentation is visible. So here, see, some of you may have attended this session, but most of you may not have been. So what I'm trying to do it here is, I'm not trying to explain you how you run your practice. That of course you are champion into that. I'm going to show you some of the features and the functionality of the default Tele, which you can make use of for the better functioning of the Tele in your organization. Let's understand the practice management from that perspective. Okay, so few of the questions which I raised to myself when I was designing this session is, I will come to the Q&A again after this session, so please be patient. So can I keep a track of my staff visit to the client or to the department from Tele? Can I maintain a list of work received or completed within the Tele? So I want to know that what work has been received, what work has been completed without doing any Excel or without buying any sophisticated software. I want to do this within the Tele. How do I do it? Can I know the work done by us but bills not raised? So we all talk about the revenue leakages when we do the internal audit or the statutory audit. But how about the revenue leakages in our own organization? How do we track it? How do I send the detailed itemized invoice for the services rendered? How do I keep track of the client outstanding partner wise? And can I send the reminder for outstanding at a one click from the tally? Okay. And how do I maintain the cash system of accounting? And all this within the default tally without doing any customization. So does this interest you guys? Are any one of you looking for any of the solutions?
Yes, yes.
All right, so let me just take you through this. We are scheduled till 7:30. I don't mind stretching also if the, but I would like to complete this. So this leads to the agenda of this that I'm going to talk to you about how you do the compliance management inside the tally, maintaining records for visit or time spent, raising of the invoice for CA firm with a detailed itemized invoice, receivable management, redesigning of your financial statement, and the cash and the accrual system of accounting. So be with me for the next half an hour. It's going to be interesting. So first thing I'm proposing here is when you create a client's data or a customer data, you can capture the various registration number inside the tally. So let me just show you. Allow me a minute to open the tally data. Give me a minute, guys, for this to close out the other company which I have. Just a minute. All right. So now what I'm proposing here is first proposition is that you maintain your client's registration data inside the tally. So I have created a demo company here called Prime and Company. Let's assume it's a chartered firm, Prime and Company. Whenever you are creating any master, okay, any customer master, let's say I have a customer called Black Slate and Company. Two things. One, here along with the company name, you can also mention the file number. So all of you may maintain the physical file of the client, or whatever number you can mention that. That will help you in finding out the file number right from the tally without maintaining any other Excel sheet. All right, this is one. Second is, if you go here in the more details and go to the description or the notes, say, let's say I go to the notes, you can also write out the other registration detail of the client. All right, for which there is no separate space given inside the tally. For which there is no separate space given inside the tally. This remains as a one-stop data for that client. Whenever you want to refer anything, it is available inside the tally. A very simple proposition. Second, always classify your clients according to the partner who is handling that or a partner who is responsible for their collection. I'll come to this in the later part of the session that why this is useful. But this is one simple proposition. And you can always write the PAN number and the GST in the space given. Okay, so I'm not touching that. So this is one. Second, of course, this was very simple one. Second, what I'm proposing here is, see, Tally has a default feature of the sales order, delivery note, and the sales invoice. Let's utilize this feature to our advantage for a CA firm, whereby for a sales order, I will term my sales order as a work list, my delivery note as a work done, and the my sales invoice as a tax invoice. Okay, so there are two configuration I'm doing here. Be with me for the next 5 minutes and you will understand this. It's a very simple concept. The two proposition is number one, I'm changing my voucher type or creating a new voucher type. So let's say I go to the, since I've already done this, I'm going to the alter voucher type. you can go and create the voucher type. So I have created a voucher type called work list, and I have created it under the default voucher type called sales order. All right. This is the only thing I have done. Number one, similar to work list, I have created something called as a work done, and I have put it under the delivery node. And sales is already there and did not recreate it. If I want, I can also create as a tax invoice under sales, but strictly it is not required. So this is the first configuration where I have created the work list voucher type under sales order, work done voucher type under delivery node, and the sales invoice. Second thing what I have done is I have created all my services as a stock item inside the tally. Let me just show you that. So let me just again go to say alter master. Since I have created, I am going to the alter master. You can go and create this. So all the services which I am providing as a CA form, I can create as a stock item. Let's say I am providing a GSTR1 filing services, GSTR3B, internal audit, tax audit. So I have created GSTR1 as a stock item. I can further classify or group that under GST compliance, income tax compliance, so on and so forth. I can put the unit as numbers or number of returns, whatever it is. So because we are not going to file the half GSTR1, either we are going to file or we are not going to file. So GSTR1. And the one more thing, there's an option called behavior option. Just change that behavior option. There is one question. Treat all sales as a new manufacturer as yes. That's all. These are the two configuration required. These are the two configuration required, and see how it will work out to our advantage. Now, my proposition is whenever you receive any new work from the client or at the 1st April beginning of the every year, you just pass a work list entry. All right, you just pass a work list entry, something like this. So let's say I'm going to this, and there is a client called Red Entertainment. I will just say Red Entertainment in the work list entry, which is nothing but a sales order entry, which I can access through here, sales order entry. Okay. And once inside the sales order, I will just go to the F12 and make this one option as yes. Okay. Just a minute. I will say more detail as yes, and there's an option here called provide order number for each stock item. I will make that question as yes. By default, it is always no. Okay, so these are the only configuration. Now I'm ready to pass the work list entry. Whenever I receive a new work from the client, I will pass this entry, or at the beginning of the year, I will pass this entry. I will simply say Red Entertainment. Okay, I will put the details, and I will select the kind of the services I'm engaged for. So GSTR1, and I will create the order like this. That, see, this is for the financial year 21-22. So in April 21, I will file the return of March 21. So I have written March 21. I put the due date of the GSTR1, 10th of April, and the one number, and this is what the rate is. Likewise, I have created for every month. This is only one-time exercise, and one-time exercise only for one client. You need not repeat this for all the client. Once you create this entry for one client, you can simply replicate this entry for all the clients. I will show you how. But first, let us understand the entire flow. So I have created this work list. I have created the order. All right. So this is for GSTR 3B and for the tax audit. Similarly, for tax audit, I will simply say it is applicable for one. So I will say tax audit TA FY 2021. You can give your own nomenclature, doesn't matter. Due on 30th September, 31st October, or any extended deadline you have, and what is the rate which is agreed upon. Okay. Now let's say you receive this work from a new client. Then how do you replicate this entry? All right. So let me just create one client here to explain you. Or first, let me first complete the flow of the things. The moment I do this, how it will help me? I can go to the display, statement of inventory, sales order outstanding, all order. Okay. I will get the details of all the work which I have received from the client, when it is due. Okay, when it is due, what is the agreed value. So at the end, I will know the total, that yes, this is what my P&L is going to look like at the end of the year, because this is what the work is already in hand for me. All right. So this is advantages number one. Number two, when I complete any work out of this, so let's say GSTR 1 of Black Slat and Company is due on 10th May and I complete this work. What I will do is I will pass a work done entry. So again, I'm going to the work done entry. This is nothing but a delivery note. All right. So I will come to know and I will select against which order it is I have completed the work. The moment I do this, I know what work was received, what work is done, and the moment I pass the work done entry, Tally will also give me the report of the work done, but the invoice is not raised. So that will also solve my revenue leakage issues. So
Wow.
the moment, yeah. Any question? All right. Just changing the view to the horizontal, and let me just delete one entry to show you what I'm meaning here. I used this data yesterday also, so I'm just deleting one entry. So the moment I do this, the moment I pass the work done entry, for whatever work done, invoice is not raised, will appear in the P&L as a sales bills to make. Okay, currently I have passed all the entries. So let me just do one tax audit and see how it will reflect. So let's say I'm going to the work done entry. So I'm just passing a delivery note. Okay, I'm already into delivery note. Okay, so let me say I'm to 30th June, Black Slat, and okay, so for Black Slate, I don't think so. Sorry, for Red Entertainment, I had a tax audit work. So let's say I have completed the tax audit. Okay, the moment I pass this, all the data would be picked up. Okay, I did not do anything. And this is just a delivery note. So I'm still ignoring the taxation. But the moment I do this, if I go to my P&L and say Alt F1, see, it will show me sales bills to make. So that means work has been done, but the invoice is yet to be raised. So the report heading looks like goods delivered but bills not made. We as a CA firm can read this as a services performed but bills not made. It's a very simple proposition whereby we are leveraging some of the default facility given by the tally to our advantage. The question may come, why this? There are other software available, like which can help do the CA practice management and which is much more in detail. Of course, there are different software available. You can implement those. Those are beautiful software. However, my simple proposition is at least start doing this first. The moment you are able to set up this, then you may go to the other detailed software or a practice management software. Okay, and this is available in default. All right. Any question? Have you understood this proposition? Not understood this proposition? All right. This was one. Second, we can create the optional voucher under journal entry, the visit details and view reports. So how we do it? Simple. I've created an optional voucher under journal. So under F7 journal, I have created a voucher called staff visit, which is an optional voucher. Whenever my people visit to the income tax or for audit or for any other reason, I can simply record one entry saying that. You can simply record this one entry. Okay. Or I can also put as a reference saying that it was for the IT visit. Why I'm putting one is just to record that it is a one visit which has happened. You may want to do it with a number of hours. That's a separate thing. You can write the narration of the details, everything. So now, but this is an optional entry. This will not affect my books of accounts. What if I want to see the reports? You can simply say go to and go to the optional voucher exception reports called optional voucher, and all the staff visit would be visible here. Further, with the help of the Alt F12 filtering facility, you can filter out for a particular client or for a particular type of visit or for a particular employee, and what is the kind of the visit he has done before raising the invoice to the client. This is another way of doing this thing. Next proposition is receivable management. So I have already informed you that it is always advisable to create the customers partner wise or the manager partner wise. Once you do this, so you remember when we had created the red entertainment or a black slate company. So my data looks like now this: partner one Rohit, partner two Manan, who is responsible for this respective client. Okay. Now, as a CA firm, I want to send the outstanding statement or a ledger to all of this client at one click. Okay. How do I do it? So I'm going to the Yellow Book Private Limited, going to the more detail, contact details. Okay, so the Yellow Book Private Limited has an email ID called anand@asapadvisors.co.in. I just want to show you. Now Red Entertainment has the email ID as connect@telepathy.com. Okay, now there may be a 200 parties, 2000 party or 2000 bills outstanding, doesn't matter. I want to send them an email for the outstanding at the click of the button. How do I do it? So from Gateway of Tele, there's an option called email. Okay, so I'm saying going into the others, and I'm saying all ledger account. Okay, I would already done the configuration. If you want to do the configuration, you can do by going into the create. It's a basic configuration. Tele supports by default supports Gmail, Yahoo, Hotmail, and Outlook. For anything else, you will need to have certain details from your email service provider, but it's very basic, I believe. And here, email to, you will select all ledgers. You will not write any email ID, but instead of that, you will simply select all ledgers. Okay, so here if you see Black Slate and Company, email ID is given, Yellow Book email ID is given, Red Entertainment email ID is given. So I will simply select all ledgers. I can write any email body text if I want. Please find attached outstanding statement for outstanding, kindly clear, whatever you want to write, and simply say email. You can also say you would like to attach PDF or not by selecting file format, and simply say email and write the email password here, and done. Tele has sent the email to all your customer, but Red Entertainment will get only his ledger, Black Slate will get only his ledger. Okay, let me just show you here. You may have to allow the less secure app in your Gmail for this to work. Okay, so I've just sent an email of the statement, and I'm going to the sent item. Now, if you see in the sent item at 7:13, there are two email which has gone in. So one to the Anand and one to the Connect. So if I go into the Anand and see the statement, it is only for the Yellow Book. It is not going for all other party. This is what I wanted to show you. So Yellow Book will receive only his statement and not the all the ledgers. So this is a pretty robust feature available in default Tele. You can make use of it and start sending the outstanding statement to your customers. Maybe your liquidity will improve to some extent. And you need not spend much time. Tele can help you with this. Is it helpful, guys? Has anyone sent the email from Tele previously like this?
No, sir, not yet.
Please try this out. Very powerful feature.
But sir, whole statement of financial year will be sent to him.
Sorry, sir.
Whole statement for whole financial year. That means whatever we have accounted for will be sent to him on mail.
So proposition was that you can send the email, multiple email. So here I have selected ledger account. Instead of that, you can select
Ledger.
bill receivable. Okay, and only the outstanding bills will go.
Okay.
So here if you say only the outstanding bill will go. So, but a multiple email can go at a click of the button to the selected parties. You can also select only for partner one, you can send only for partner two, you can send, or you can send it for all. So if I now have sent the only outstanding statement, it may require some effort for you to just configure, just a 5 minutes effort on your part to configure the email into Tally. But once done, you can save a lot of time of you or your admin people by sending the email, and plus the frequency can increase. So now only a bill receivable has gone. You see here, only the bill receivable has gone. Only the outstanding bill, not the all that is for entire year, but only the outstanding bill will go. I hope that answers your question.
Yes, sir. Excellent.
And plus, I'm sure in this email, okay, the period is not here, but yes, if you want to send a specific period email, let's say to one client you only want to send the last 6 months data, go to that ledger, select 6 months, and then send email current report. Instead of saying others, you can send the single email also from Tally. Here, my purpose was to show the multiple email at simultaneously at one click. Right. Please try this out feature and do send your feedback if this works and it helps you. All right. Next is redesign your balance sheet and profit and loss account to suit your requirement. This is a very old feature into Tally. Not many people are aware of it. So here the proposition is, see, when you look at the, let's say you look at your balance sheet. Okay. Now here the capital, each group and each ledger has one number assigned to it in the Tally. So how do I see this? Okay, so I'm coming to the group and pressing Control Enter, and in the F12 there is an option called Provide Position Index of the group. So this question should be yes. Each group has a one number which is assigned to it by Tally. So the default number for capital is 20. Okay, so this is your how the default balance sheet looks like. You want to change some order into this. For some reason, you want the loan liability to come above capital account. I'm just giving you the example, a random example, or maybe a current liability should come before the loans and liability. Okay, let capital be the first, but the current liability should come above loans and liability. So if I go into Control Enter and see the loans liability, it is having the position index of 20, and the current liability is having a position index of 30. Now I want loans liability to come after current liability. So I will simply go to the loans liability, change this number to after 30. So if you see now current liability will appear first and the loans liability will appear next. Particularly if I'm looking at as a vertical, I can redesign my balance sheet to look like the way I want. Not only the ledgers, but within the ledgers, even the profit and loss account, I can do this. So here, let's say conveyance. Conveyance has a position index. Conveyance has a position index of 1000, and telephone expense also has a position index of 1000. Now, for some reason, I want telephone expense to appear before conveyance and conveyance to appear after telephone. So I will simply go here and change the number to 1001. Okay. So now conveyance would be below this. Again, this is one proposition. Second, if I want some new group to appear on the face of the profit and loss and balance sheet, like say here there's a depreciation on fixed asset. So you can create that. Let's say I want a people cost or a staff cost as a separate heading, separate group on my P&L. What I can do is I can create a group. I can say, let's say create master. I'm creating a group called, let's say the staff cost. Okay. Instead of putting it under any other group, I will simply select primary. The moment I select primary, Tally will ask me where you want to classify. So I will say classify as an expense. it will ask me, does it affect the gross profit? So that means whether I want it before gross profit or after gross profit. So I'm saying no, I want it after gross profit. That's all. The moment I do this, my P&L will now have a group called staff costs. I will have to create one entry there for it to appear. Let me just create a quick entry there. Let's say I pass an entry called salary and I classify it under the staff cost. Okay. Now, the moment I do this and see the P&L, my staff cost will appear as a separate heading. So I can create n number of the item which should be on the face of my P&L or a balance sheet, and plus I can also decide their hierarchy or the order in which they appear. So I can actually redesign my P&L and balance sheet. Plus, this feature is a company specific feature. So you can define it separately for all the companies, for partnership firm or for private limited company. It is a per data. It's not a per tally license. It's a per data. So that can help you redesigning your profit and loss and balance sheet. And the last proposition which I'm going to deal today is the cash basis of accounting versus accrual basis of accounting. Here the question is, as a CA firm, we need to maintain the books of accounts on cash basis for income tax or the audit purpose. It is optional, but all the CA firm maintain on cash basis of accounting. Whereas for GST, it has to be maintained on accrual basis. Invoice needs to be raised and GST needs to be paid to the government irrespective of whether the customer has paid me or not. So what should we do? Whether should we maintain on the cash basis of accounting and then keep a separate tab on the GST, or maintain an accrual, and if I maintain an accrual, how to convert into the cash? So the simple proposition here is, you start maintaining your books of account on accrual basis. So your GST part is taken care of. You can calculate the GST payable from tally, file GSTR1 3B report from tally, reconcile your 2A within the tally, all this in default tally. Okay. Now, at the end of the year, what you can do is you can pass one journal entry and convert your accrual base of accounting into the cash base of accounting. So let me just allow me a minute to explain this. So I am into the balance sheet. I am going into the data. Okay. So now I'm just ignoring this for the time being. Sales bills to make. I will just delete this entry for the time being since I've not raised the invoice. Okay. Now, I know that 23,048 is total outstanding from my customer, which includes the 18% GST. So I will just do the reverse calculation of this. I will say divide by 1.18. So this is what my customer outstanding is. Look at the calculator bar at the below. Okay, so total outstanding from the customer towards professional fees 19,532 and towards GST is 3,516. So what I will do is I will pass one journal entry at the March, at the 31st of March, whereby I will debit my professional fees. Okay, whereby I will debit my professional fees with the basic amount, which is 19,532. Okay. I will debit a new ledger called GST paid on accrual, which I have created under current assets. I will debit it with 3,516, and I will credit a new ledger called data control, which is also created under sundry debtors. Okay. I will pass this entry, and therefore, if I now look at my balance sheet, my debtor account is effectively zero. My debtor account is effectively zero. P&L, my professional fee is reversed to the extent of the amount not received, and there's a new ledger which has come in the balance sheet called GST paid on accrual. This is due to, since I'm paying GST on accrual, you can decide the nomenclature you want. This will help me maintaining my all the compliances the way I have shown you. This will help me meet with my GST liability in time. This will help me maintain my books of accounts on cash basis. Immediately on the 1st April next year, I will reverse this entry, and again my books of accounts are on accrual basis. Okay, so this is a proposition, and yes, this works. Many CA firms are doing it. Okay, So that is how we do the cash basis of accounting and accrual basis of accounting. Effectively concludes my session. I will just skip one item to show you. When I create a sales invoice and I pick up my delivery challan, which is my work done, okay, I can keep on giving this detail like GSTR is for which month, acknowledgement number, date of filing with GST detail, and then take a print, and I can generate an itemized invoice like this from Tally and send it to the client. There are two options given in the Tally: a simple invoice format. So this is a simple invoice format, or even if I want, I can configure and say simple invoice format as no, and see the preview. This is how my itemized invoice looks like. All the details of the work done is inside the Tally. A pure itemized invoice, a better invoice. All right. So effectively concludes my session for today. I'm open to the questions. Uh, yes. So there are a few questions I can see in the chat box. Murtuza, I will take up the question myself.
Yes, yes, Anandji.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you so much. All right. So some have said yes no to some of my question. Excellent. Thank you, CA Pranav Kumar, for liking the session. Very nice. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. There is one question. Previously, there was Schedule 6 configuration which is missing now from I think CA Atul ji. Yes, Schedule 6 is missing as of now. However, they are bringing in the Schedule 3 very soon, and till that time they are also giving you some option to configure schedule 6 in few days time. So I have private to some information by talking to Tele official yesterday only. They are bringing in the old schedule 6 as an add-on, free add-on to you. Okay, so it should be available in by I think by the June end. Okay, thank you CS Sanjay ji for your feedback. Thank you so much. Great that you like the session. My suggestion would be just go back and try and implement some of the things in your own organization, and it should help. You know, it should help. Again, I will continue tomorrow. Again, my take would be I would be discussing some of the case studies, and via the case study, I will try to explain some of the features that how do we actually use it instead of just saying that this feature exists and this is how you use the feature. I would actually take up the case study of the live clients, of course by changing the identifying details, and try and explain to you some of the features. Thank you so much. I mean, we are exactly dot on time. Any other question you have, Murtuza, or any other people? Yes, audit feature especially through Teleframe will help all. Yes, thank you. Any question, Manali or Murtuza or anyone else? Or you end up the session for the day and again catch up tomorrow at 6.
Yeah, thank you so much, Anandji. I think there are no more questions left. Thank you so much for the session. And yeah, we see all participants tomorrow again, same time, 6 o'clock. Yeah.
Sure. Thanks,
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Yeah. Thank you, Yogesh.
Thank you. Thank you, Anandji. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you.
Yeah. सुभाष जी मीटिंग एंड कर सकते हैं आप Thank